can help you with your choices and move you forward in your life. And look at some simple techniques to reveal more clearly what you're choosing in life. Consciously making choices from your outward actions to your inner thoughts and emotions is quite possibly one of the most powerful tools you'll learn to use. Your life, after all, is shaped by the choices you make, even the small ones. And it all starts with this concept of choice. So, how do we define choice? Simply put, choice is the act of making a decision to consciously choose one thing over another. Perhaps one of the best metaphors for understanding the concept of choice and how our choices affect us in our lives can be found in the simple child's toy called the kaleidoscope. The kaleidoscope operates on the principle of multiple reflecting mirrors. When the kaleidoscope's tube is turned, the tumbling of colored glass pieces or pebbles against the mirror present the viewer with a variety of interesting shapes and images, and as a result, a seemingly infinite number of color combinations, forms, and patterns can be created with every turn of the tube. So if you have printed out your worksheets, or if you can pull them up, now would be a good time to pull out worksheet number 1, the kaleidoscope illusion. And you can also look at the screen too. It shares the same image. And just take a moment to look at the image on your worksheet or on the screen. And hold your glance over the entire image without focusing on any one part of the image. And just pay attention to what you notice. Like this kaleidoscope illusion, our lives are always in motion, and it is the act of choice that makes it move and change. If you think about it, at every moment of your life, you are making choices, both big and small, and these choices are impacting your life. Over time, your life takes on the appearance of the numerous choices you've made over the years. And so I'm going to offer you an important truth about the power of choice, and I invite you to write it down either on the bottom of worksheet number 1 or on a separate piece of paper, wherever you have a place to write. And here's the quote. Your life reflects the thoughts and choices you make from moment to moment. Like the kaleidoscope, every choice we make causes our lives to change, to take on a new color and shape. At any given moment, whether we realize it or not, we are in the process of choosing. We choose our thoughts. We choose our moods. Maybe we don't think we choose our moods. We choose our attitudes. We choose our actions, and we choose our responses. And ultimately, we choose the kind of life and the kind of person we are and want to be. Since our choices so dramatically impact our lives, we must be good stewards of every second, because when we make a choice, we are also accepting the consequences that come with that choice. If we want to make good choices that have a positive impact in our lives, we must manage our thoughts to create those outcomes. How we manage our minds and the choices it is presented are critical. And there are 2 significant forces at work in our minds that influence how we make choices. So let's take a look at what those 2 forces are. When it comes to making choices, those 2 significant forces that influence our decisions that we make. These are the prism and the possibility of life. So the term prism refers to the limitations we think about ourselves and shuts down our sense of choice. And the term possibility refers to what we are willing to imagine for ourselves and opens up our sense of choice. So let's take a look at these forces, starting first with the prism. If you think a moment about a prism is a triangular piece of glass used to break up visible light so that we can see its component colors. Without a prism, visible light appears as just one single element. But with a prism, the same light reveals a whole spectrum of colors, which we can see. And our lives often appear to us in the same way as the light without a prism, as just a single element with no spectrum of choices available. And when we see our lives this way, we unknowingly create enormous limitations for ourselves. So consider these often heard limitations. I'm fat and will never lose weight. That's just the way I am. I'm too old to try something new. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't have the necessary skills to change careers. I guess I'm just stuck where I am. So that's the idea of limiting thoughts. And what's worse is that often we aren't even aware. We're kind of on autopilot and we're not even questioning those thoughts. We're not even aware of the judgmental, sabotaging thoughts we're having. And we're also not aware of how these thoughts hold us back. So to dissolve the limiting thoughts that affect your sense of choice, you need to become alert and aware and awake to them. You have to be able to see past the single visible light and look at the spectrum of truth and possibilities that are always available to you. So let's take an example of this. It has to do with the concept of time and the all too common catchphrase that people say, which goes something like this: I just don't have any time for that. So let's really quickly take out worksheet number 2, how you spend your time. Whoops, let me go back here. In our lives at one time or another, we've all said that. We've all said, I just don't have time for that. And this statement is like that single light that needs a prism so that we can see the truth behind the possible illusion of not having any time. And only then can we see what is real and what choices are available to us. So on your worksheet, you're going to find some of the most common ways that people spend their time. And I invite you to just to take a few minutes to assess how you're currently utilizing your time. Going down the left column only, so just focusing on the left side, fill in the blanks with the number of hours currently being spent doing each of these activities. And I'm going to set my timer for just 2 minutes, and then we'll come back and debrief what came up for you in that. Where's my timer? There it is. All right, ready, set, go. All right, and let's start to find a stopping point. And come on back. Okay, and I'm going to here. We just you just applied a prism to the idea of having no time. So you can now see through the prism how your time is actually being spent. What is it showing you about how you are choosing your time? So these are debrief questions. I like to put them up on the screen so you can just kind of look at them. And I just invite you to take yourself off mute and share what's coming up for you. What consequences, good or bad, can you identify that go along with your choices? Can you name 3 things that may influence a person's decision on where they choose to spend their time? What comes up for you in reflection around this exercise? And if you want to share, well, you'll have to take yourself off mute or else we can't hear you. What comes up for me around this is that sometimes a lot of times, if we're stressed, if we're overwhelmed, if we're in a mindset of scarcity or lack or have to, it can feel like we don't get a say in our choices. You know, I think as women, it's we get a lot of societal pressure about what we should be doing, right? What is the responsible way to be spending our time? And often to the detriment of our health and our balance, because it's the programming that we're shifting away from. But I think we all 3 of us grew up in is this programming of putting everyone ahead of yourself. And so this exercise is really, it's meant to kind of just bring into your awareness, how are you spending your time? What are the things that influence where you spend your time? Is it really truly from your vision, or is it from this place of obligation? And I would just love to hear what you 2 think about it. So if you'd like to share, please take yourself off mute. Well, since I'm not hearing anything, I'm assuming that maybe you're just not in a place to share. Like maybe there's background noise or you're not able to share. So I'm just going to kind of hold up those questions for another 30 seconds, just so you can maybe write them down or do some journaling, and then we'll move forward. And I hope that we can have some conversation as we move through this. But let me just give you another moment or two. We think of circumstance is something that happens to us randomly, instead of realizing we make it happen for ourselves through our own thoughts and choices. If we continuously think in a limiting way, we shouldn't be surprised when our lives remain the same or feel out of control. Instead, we need to shift our thinking and start focusing on something other than limiting factors in our lives. And this can only be done by tearing down our old way of thinking and replacing it with a new approach. If you keep referring to your old ways of thinking, you'll never see the spectrum of choices that are available to you. Remember, by challenging the limitations you have experienced as a result of your thoughts and choices, you can dramatically alter the course of your life. The second force that affects our sense of choice is the opposite of limitation. It is allowing ourselves to imagine what's possible and then choose from a place of possibility. So let's take a look at that. We go where our choices take us, and our choices result from the predominant thoughts we think. We can only go as high or as far as our thoughts and choices will allow us. To go higher and farther, we must first imagine something greater is possible. So if you can take out worksheet number 3, Kaleidoscope Brainstorming. The idea of kaleidoscope brainstorming is to help you imagine what's possible, regardless of how unrealistic the possibilities may seem. Just like the kaleidoscope toy, all possibility needs is just the smallest shift, and suddenly the image changes. So let's apply a small turn of the tube and see what's possible. Imagine that you suddenly have been given all the time and money you will ever need in order to accomplish anything you want in life. And for each of the life categories listed on the worksheet, brainstorm at least 5 things you would want to accomplish if, again, time and money were not an issue. And work quickly when brainstorming. Take only a few minutes to complete the task. So I'm going to set again for 2 minutes. Ready, set, go. Awesome. Welcome back. And thank you, Carol. I just saw what you put in the chat. She said, Wendy, it's Carol, thinking I have more time than I realized to do more positive works. Yeah, very good. Very good recognition there. So there are I have some debrief questions here. And if we're more comfortable sharing in the chat, we can do that too. Or if you're more comfortable just kind of doing some journaling around this, that's okay too. But our debrief questions around that is, how did it feel to brainstorm from a place of possibility? And what did you notice happened when you were encouraged to imagine what's possible without restrictions? And how is choice impacted when we imagine what's possible, regardless of how realistic or unrealistic the possibilities may seem? So let's just take a few minutes and either do some journaling, or if you're able, go ahead and take yourself off mute and share what comes up, or share in the chat. And I'll share, it's it almost feels like when I'm brainstorming from a place of possibility, to get there, I have to, in some ways I have to relax, and I have to surrender and open up my imagination. And it brings me back to childhood. It brings me back to that kind of, that place of pure essence, and that place of limitlessness, right? We're so spend our lives just this tension and tightness, and trying to squeeze everything in and do everything perfectly, and beat ourselves up when it's not perfect, and then go, oh, I better not try that because that might not be perfect. That's also, that's something that, just like when we can just surrender that limitation and allow ourselves to relax, breathe, and open up to what's possible, it feels really good to me. It feels really good. I can feel a little less stuck, a little less constrained to my circumstances. And there's something very liberating when I'm looking at that third question there. How is choice impacted when we imagine what's possible, regardless of how realistic or unrealistic the possibilities may seem? And I just I have this smile on my face, right? When I let go of whether it's realistic or not, and just open up to what's possible, then it's like I'm not closing myself off from those things happening. Like I'm getting out of my own way, right? Maybe it is unrealistic, but what is realistic is that I can take small actions in that direction, and show up and do my best, and be curious, and just see what happens, see what the response is when I let go of that expectation, or try to make something fit. It's like painting. I think of it as a very artistic process of not knowing exactly how it's all going to work out, but just trusting something's going to happen and being open to that. Um, my mom used to say, do something, even if it's wrong. And I know she wasn't telling me to go out and do wrong things, but she was encouraging me to get up off the couch and to try things and to see what happened. So even if it didn't turn out right, even if it turns out wrong, do something, even if it's wrong, because you get into motion and then new possibilities start to come into your awareness and you can try things in a different way. All right. Well, anybody have anything they wanted to add or share, either in the chat? It's all right. Whatever makes us happy, we're going to move forward. Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, we don't need to quite go there yet. So if we go back to worksheet number 2, remember we had just done the left hand side of it, worksheet number 2, how you spend your time. And remember that the purpose of kaleidoscope brainstorming is to imagine what's possible through just the simple turn of a kaleidoscope tube so that the image you are looking at changes and new choices open up for you. So to accomplish this, on the left column, right, revisit the number of hours that you're spending on the various activities listed and indicate in the center 2 columns whether you're satisfied or dissatisfied with the amount of time you're spending on each of these activities. And then for each of your time allocations, indicate in the right-hand column the new number of hours you would prefer to be spending on each activity by thinking from the perspective of possibility. Hours preferred could be either more or less than you're currently spending. And there's no right answer here. Just like a kaleidoscope, what matters most is that you have changed the way your time allocations can look. So I'd like you to take another 2 minutes just to complete the center columns and the right column of worksheet number 2. Ready, set, go? Nice. Thank you, Carol. Yeah, thank you. It's a powerful perspective. All right. And let's see here. So I'd like you to consider these questions, maybe do some journaling around them. Perhaps share in the chat if you'd like. I'll just read what Carol had shared in the chat around the last debrief. She said, in a way, I've been released to do more meditating, more positive by COVID. And certainly our current world circumstances and the way that things have had to change. Some of the limitations, some of the things that we can't do anymore have opened up time, have opened up space for choices that we hadn't considered before, like more meditating, like more focus on our self-care, like learning a new skill, like stretching into a new part of ourselves. I see we got another comment in the chat. I am satisfied in some areas like meditations, but dissatisfied in time spent helping others. Yeah. Yeah, it's the way we can help others has to shift, right? You know, not everyone can be out there distributing food boxes or helping others in the way that we used to. How do your choices open up when you change the way you look at a circumstance? How does seeing other possibilities shape a person's ability to choose? Finish this sentence. Far too often people believe they don't have the power of choice because, and let me just give a minute for some journaling for you and any other sharing you'd like to do. All of us achieve by first imagining what is possible and then acting upon those possibilities. There have been numerous studies that have shown that successful people from all walks of life were successful because they were able to imagine something different and then followed through with making it happen. Michelangelo saw his statue of David first in his mind and then brought it to life through his hands. His whole philosophy around sculpting was that the figure of David already existed in the stone and that all he was doing was chipping away at the pieces to reveal it. And there's something about that story I find really inspiring because he didn't know. He just believed that David was in there, and then he kept chipping away the excess, and little by little David was revealed. And there's a certain humility in that, right? There's certain humility and trust and faith in the creative process. And you can do the same. You can see what's possible in your mind's eye, and then through your choices, bring that vision into reality. What you experience in life comes from the thoughts you hold in your mind and the choices you make as a result of those thoughts. So once you become aware of your thoughts, your choices also become clearer. So, what do you want to happen as a result of the choices in your life? As you've seen thought and choice work together, to get into action, you must first come up with a strong vision in your mind, and then you choose to act upon it. The vision is like playing a positive movie in your mind of what you want to happen. So now, if you would, take out worksheet number 4, positive movie in your mind. And I'm going to share a presentation with you about the positive movie in your mind. And I invite you to take notes in the top film frame, only of what resonates with you most. So here we go. I'm going to take a sip of water here. The internal world of your thoughts has enormous power over your external world. This means you can change your circumstances of life by changing your thoughts. All that you will accomplish, all that you want to be, comes from the person you are right now in your mind. So, what do you want to make happen in your life? This is an exciting topic for Ivy. It's her birthday. She can make anything happen. What would you like to happen in your life over the next 6 months? Where do you want to be with your family, career, your health, or your personal development? It's all a matter of choosing, first in the mind, and then in the choices that flow from your thoughts. Whatever it is that you want to see happen in your life, give yourself permission to allow it to be, and watch how that choice alone can change your life. Instead of roadblocks, picture yourself succeeding. Instead of barriers, imagine yourself accomplishing your goal. See it, hear it, feel it. Talk to yourself about what you want as if you have already achieved it. Create a strong vision of who you want to become. Define your ideal and then imagine that ideal right now. Every morning when you wake up and every night before you go to sleep, like a positive movie playing in your mind, review that vision of who you want to be. View your future as though it were happening now. Believe that you are in the process of becoming this very person. Hold in your mind the vision of the person you want to be, and then choose and act deliberately toward realizing that vision. Your mind is your most crucial resource in this entire process. And Carol says, I see that I have the power to do some great things to work with others by doing affirmations and making an action plan. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, we forget that. We forget that others can benefit from things that we're learning, right? Um, and actually, we can, by doing the work ourselves and starting to see the results and just kind of even just sharing our process with others can open up possibility for them. I love that, Carol. Thank you. And so now if you turn your attention to the bottom film frame of your worksheet number 4, next, I invite you to write down a vision for something that you want to happen in your life. When writing down your vision, also identify the choices you will need to make in order to bring this vision into reality. And remember the 2 significant mind forces that we covered earlier that affect your sense of choice. There's the prism, challenging the limitations you've set for yourself, and possibility, allowing yourself to imagine what is possible, no matter how unrealistic it may seem. So let me give you just another minute or so to make some notes in the bottom frame of your positive movie in your mind. Okay. All right. And these are the debrief questions. So let's take a look at those. In what ways do you anticipate your vision altering the path of your life? How will your vision enhance your quality of life? And what does your vision say about what it is you long for? So go ahead and take another minute and just write down what's coming up for you, or share with me in the chat, or pick up the mic. See, what comes up for me around these questions, in what ways do you anticipate your vision altering the path of your life? Well, something I believe personally and have had personal evidence of in my life is that if I have a vision, then it is something that is possible. It's like if it's not even a possibility for you, it's not even going to come into your imagination. So there, first of all, there is the stretch of opening up your imagination to reveal a vision. But the fact that that vision even showed up is a sign that you can achieve it. And I also think that, we're constantly growing and changing. We're not the same people we were not even 2 years ago. So the vision we had 2 years ago may not be the same vision we have now, because we're different, because of the choices that we've made and the things that we've learned and the ways that we've grown and evolved. So, I anticipate, my vision, it's already altering the path of my life. I have a vision of being of service, of reaching out with story and bringing together community around powerful conversations, to, to open up communication and conversation and understanding so that we can have a healing and transformation in our world for Mother Earth, right? So it's not just for me, it's not just for whatever community, it's also for the healing of Mother Earth. I see a comment here. Carol says, I see myself helping my fellow man by working to expand their vision, by using their prism and working with them to expand and grow. Excellent, right? Yeah. Yeah, and this isn't these conversations, these things that we're talking about or thinking about, writing about, chatting about, they're not taught in our schools, um, unless we teach them. And I'm getting a little sneaky. I have this surprise opportunity to teach an acting class online for a local middle school. And I told them who I am, right? I'm also a life coach. I guess I do have this training, and we're going to learn about theater. But these two things, personal transformation and also working with story and and character, they go hand in hand. So I'm kind of sneaking in some of these things, as they apply to what I'm teaching. But I think it's important. It's really important to begin to understand how we work with these concepts and then support others to, how did you put it, Carol? I'm going to look at that comment again. You wrote that really well. I see myself helping my fellow man by working to expand their vision, right? Breaking them out of their limitation, right? The reason why things get stuck when they're not working, and we just kind of keep propping up these institutions that aren't working, is because we, as a culture, have had a pretty limited vision. So Carol's going to help her fellow man by working to expand their vision, by using their prism and working with them to expand and grow. It's such important work. How will your vision enhance your quality of life? I think, the more we get into balance, our quality of life is enhanced naturally when we are supported by that full, healthy wheel of life, and all of those areas are getting good, positive energy. We're functional, and we're becoming healthier in all of these areas. And our vision, even if you're just working on one area of the life wheel, say you're working on relationships, and you have a vision for improving your relationship, maybe not even with a partner, but even with friends and family, and you give more energy there, you make choices that enhance that area. It's going to have a ripple effect in your health. It's going to have a ripple effect in your career and in your finance, and in all the other areas of your life, because they're all connected, right? So when you're doing healthy things, and your vision is, you're following your vision, even in just one area, it can have a really profound effect on all the other areas as well. They just begin to fill out. And I love this last question. What does your vision say about what it is that you long for? And we've got Doula Ivy. I know she supports, women in their birthing process and the babies coming through. And that's what we long for. We long for a healthier world, and healthier families and communities, and more balance and love and all that good stuff. All right. Okay. So if during this process you experience any doubt, refuse it immediately. Don't let doubt overshadow and hinder your choices at any time. recognize it, right? There's a doubtful thought, right? What I like to do, let me check this comment first before I finish what I was going to say. Oh, Ivy, yeah, love and prayers, yes, yes, yes. Um, so I try not to make anything that I think wrong, but I can notice if it's limiting, right? So if there's a doubtful thought, I notice it and I go, thank you. Because more often than not, that doubtful thought isn't even mine. It sounds like my mother. It sounds like, patriarchy. It sounds like those voices that might even have been trying to protect me or, help prevent me from making mistakes, right? But we can't learn anything without making mistakes. We can't grow. Um, so to say all doubt must be excluded, I would add to that, uh, say thank you, honor the thought, right? Because it's coming from this place, this part of you that wants to protect you. So honor it, say thank you, I got this. Why don't we hold hands and do this together, right? Embrace those shadow parts of you. Try not to make them wrong. Just raise your awareness to them and go, aha, that is, the old limiting thinking. Without beating yourself up for having a doubtful thought, right? Recognize it and then surrender it, or say, um, thank you for your service of protecting me. Now you can have a different job. Now you can, all that energy you can shift towards supporting me with my energy to take these steps towards this new vision, right? Your vision and your willingness to act on that vision can be negatively impacted if you believe all of those doubting thoughts, right? Um, there's an old saying, don't believe everything you think. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's true, and it doesn't mean it's helpful. So, but recognize, honor, and then choose, right? Choose the thoughts, choose the positive, encouraging thoughts that are going to help you move forward. As you think, so you will become. So we're moving into the final part of our workshop here tonight. It's been cruising by. So if you could please now take out worksheet number 5, which is called How Am I Feeling About Choice? And complete the activity on the worksheet. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to work on that. Now, with any of this, of course, if you don't complete in the time, then, complete on your own time and call it homework when you have quiet moments to go a little bit deeper. But I set the timer for 2 minutes as we work on worksheet number 5, How Am I Feeling About Choice? All right. And debriefing. How will your new awareness of choice affect your life going forward? And given what you've explored and learned about choice so far in our program today, which of the following two words would you choose to help define the term to a friend? And why those words? So take a minute or so to reflect on that. Perhaps write some things down for yourself. Share if you feel inspired. You know, it's interesting. Words are important, and our word choice um, is gonna resonate differently with different people. I was working with a dear sister, and we were doing a little bit of breakthrough shadow coaching, and we took a look at her year vision. You know, if everything, if you could wave a magic wand a year from now, what would your life look like? And all these areas of the life wheel, and just opened up the imagination, just wrote everything down, and then um, you know, just um, kind of pulled it back. If there was like a 3 month goal, like a goal that you could realistically achieve in 3 months, that would be a, you know, a good step towards that year vision. What would that goal be? And she really did not like the word goal, and she preferred the word target. I'm like, all right, you know, whatever, because goal felt like too, it felt too something for her. Like if you don't reach it, like there was, but the target, like aiming towards something, that resonated with her more. And it's the same thing here, you know, alternatives, decisions, opportunities. I like the word opportunity, but also salespeople use that word a lot, so that can have a negative connotation for people who have, you know. I like druthers. I had my druthers. That has a kind of openness to it. Cup of tea. You know, my cup of tea, my volition. Interesting. It's I'm gonna be silent here for another another moment here. Just let you complete. Awesome. Well, that is the um, the main target of our program today. We've gotten through this workshop. You know, the body. This is really interesting. You know, the body follows the mind, right? Body is the servant of the mind. It obeys the mind through its choices. And nobody said it better than the late Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, former president of Morehouse College, who said, "It is not your environment, it is you and the quality of your mind that will decide your future and shape your life." So, just some final thoughts for you to think about as we close. To what degree are you willing to choose thoughts and actions that will raise you above your current life and have you reach for something better, right? Are you willing? Are you willing to change your thoughts? Are you willing to make different choices? Are you willing to change your habits? And if not, are you willing to be willing? Right? No judgment, it's just a gauge of willingness. And to what degree will you no longer accept self-imposed limitations and give yourself permission to act, right? What will it take for you to think about what's possible and give you the freedom to create the vision of who you want to be, and then just go for it? So I want to thank you. Thank you for your participation tonight. Like I said, I'm a breakthrough shadow coach. My training was through the Ford Institute. If either of you are familiar with Debbie Ford before she passed, it's really deep, transformative work. And one of the coaching sessions is on responsibility and choice. So, as a special kind of thank you gift, up until the end of April, April 30th, I'm offering a free coaching session around responsibility and choice. And I would say don't worry about that top link there, but that is my email address and my phone number. If either of you would like to get in touch and schedule a free coaching session. Thank you, Ivy. Thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. All right. And thank you, Carol. I'm going to let you both go and enjoy your night. Happy full snow moon in Virgo. Bye for now. And okay, there we go. Bye.